Don't you ever wish you were down there?
I'm down there all I need to be.
Yes, but it's just a job to you. I'm talking about going down there and having some fun. Maybe with someone special.
Am I blue? Am I blue? Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you?
You've probably heard the phrase, opposites attract. And it's true. Just not in the way that you're probably thinking. When you think of opposites attract, you're probably thinking something along the lines of the physicality, the aesthetic. The happy sunshine character paired up with someone who's generally much more dark and serious. And while it's a good visualization, it's only looking at it at the surface level. What I want to explore is the deeper meaning behind opposites attract, and why exactly does it work so well. The phrase opposites attract was first coined up in the 1950s by sociologist Robert Winch. Winch was doing a study on married couples and trying to figure out why they worked, and he came to the conclusion that the reason why they worked wasn't so much their similarities, but in their complementary traits. But what does that actually mean? No one exists in a vacuum. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses. A character by themselves is victim to those faults and weaknesses. But finding someone with a complementary trait means finding someone who can cover for those weaknesses and enhance those strengths. And in the process, they're both stronger and more engaging for it. And this is really fascinating, because what does that mean for storytelling? Let's break down that initial happy sunshine character with the dark and serious character. Most protagonists in stories generally trend to the more happy, sunshiny type characters, probably because it's an easier pill to swallow than someone who's generally much more dark and serious. It's not always the case, but usually. And these characters are important, because they are the moral POV in which we will see the story through. They're generally characterized as optimistic, bright, and a literal light in other characters' lives. But the sunshine characters are not without their own flaws. The flaw that these rays of sunshine usually embody is they are easy to burn up. Often, these characters are rays of sunshine, and they're the idealists that help carry the narrative forward. But oftentimes, they will fail to see the big picture. They will engage with what is directly in front of them, and in the process, they will eventually become consumed, overwhelmed, and then crash and burn. And this is a genuine flaw. And this is where the other side of the dynamic comes in. On the other side of the spectrum is the grounded characters. These characters are often the realists. They're able to perceive the situation for what it is, and act accordingly. They're often characterized as much more serious, much more intelligent, and generally much more hardened by life. And the importance of these type of characters is often the sense of grounding and stability that they provide. The flaw of the sunshine character is that if they're not careful, they'll eventually be overwhelmed and burn themselves out. That's where the grounded character comes in. The grounded character stops this wholesale. They cover for the sunshine character's inability to see the bigger picture, oftentimes refocusing their efforts and of course helping ease the burden and responsibility that the sunshine character has often taken. But if that's the flaw of the sunshine character, then what is the flaw of the grounded character? The flaw of the grounded character is that without the sunshine, without someone to push them forward and see a better way, they will often instead remain grounded, unable to make any meaningful change, and instead remain stuck in place, incapable of moving forward and incapable of seeing a brighter future that could be. But together, the two become a stabilizing force in each other's lives, helping cover for each other's weaknesses while also enhancing each other's strengths, and together pushing to a better future. And what makes this so narratively engaging is because at its core, Opposites Attract is asking a very simple question. What do you need? In real life, things are not nearly as exciting. In stories, things are much more dramatic, much more bigger than life. And that's what we kind of come there to see. To see these characters find and develop their meaningful connections with one another, and in the process develop something that's even more profound. And having them realize that they're better together, and feeling like they just found their metaphorical missing half, that's great! That's cathartic! And the really interesting thing here is, it's not just explicitly tied to romance. While romance was the original connotation behind Opposites Attract, I will put together the argument that we have kind of moved on from that. In 1950s America, the idea is romance and love and marriage is the iconic goal, the pinnacle to be happy. But as time moved forward, I think we kind of just left it behind. While love and romance is great and is by no means dead, the idea of greater character fulfillment is no longer bound by the romance. To be happy or fulfilled, you no longer really need a romantic partner. Instead, we kind of now focus on the idea of being happy with ourselves.
I think the reason I got all these guy friends and no boyfriend is because I don't really want to date any of them. I don't need to feel like I'm waiting to be noticed. I know who I am, and I'll know what I want if and when it ever comes along.
When we stop viewing characters as a means of shipping and romance, we start to see how fulfillment can exist in all other forms. Characters who are so very different from one another, still helping each other find what they need. From the wolf and cub trope of the grizzled older man and the optimistic young girl, to the hot-headed student and the wise old mentor, to just two lost souls who are in need of some perspective. It's the differences, the contrasts that make these characters so engaging and worth watching. And even when they don't need each other, they're still better together. It's probably why these characters who help complete each other and make each other fulfilled is also the reason why most of the fan base helps ship them together. We love the friendships and we love the intimacy. And the romance isn't dead, it's just that other forms of love have taken to the spotlight. And it's all in service to reach that higher level of character and personal fulfillment. And I think it's really cool that Opposites Attract has evolved to become this new thing. This idea of, at its core, what do we need to fulfill us? And how it's become more all-encompassing of all the relationships that these characters have in their lives. So, you know, big win for the Arrow Ace community. Hey guys, thanks for watching. So yeah, a lot of people told me that this video probably should have been saved for February, and they were right. Oh well, live and learn. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. You know the drill by now, like and subscribe and all that jazz. Yeah, I have other videos I gotta work on, so I will catch you all later. Okay, bye.